Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing around the media lately, and personally, I think it's a perfect example of how strange and unpredictable the world of public figures can be. So here's the deal. Karl Stefanovic and Pauline Hanson were spotted together at the Mount Isa Rodeo, just weeks after Hanson publicly offered Stefanovic a job following his departure from the Nine Network. On the surface, it seems like a random celebrity encounter, but if you take a step back and think about it, this meeting is loaded with implications and raises some pretty interesting questions. First off, what makes this really interesting is the timing. Hanson's job offer to Stefanovic wasn't just a casual gesture. It came right after Stefanovic's high-profile exit from one of Australia's biggest media networks. Now, seeing them together so soon after that offer feels like more than just a coincidence. In my opinion, this could be Hanson's way of keeping the conversation going, or maybe even a strategic move to stay in the public eye. What many people don't realize is that in the world of politics and media, these kinds of interactions are often calculated, even if they seem spontaneous. Another detail I find fascinating is the location, the Mount Isa Rodeo. It's not exactly the first place you'd expect to see two high-profile figures like Stefanovic and Hanson. But if you think about it, this setting could be a deliberate choice. Rodeos are deeply rooted in Australian culture, particularly in regional areas, and by appearing there together, they're tapping into a specific demographic. From my perspective, this could be Hanson's way of aligning herself with a more grassroots, everyday Aussie image, especially after her recent political moves. It's a smart play, but it also raises a deeper question. Are they genuinely connecting with the community, or is this just another PR stunt? What this really suggests is that the lines between politics, media, and celebrity are blurring more than ever. Stefanovic, a former breakfast TV host, and Hanson, a controversial politician, represent two very different worlds, but their paths crossing like this highlights how interconnected these spheres have become. Personally, I think this kind of crossover is both fascinating and a bit concerning. On one hand, it keeps things interesting and unpredictable. On the other, it can make it hard to distinguish between genuine engagement and opportunistic posturing. One thing that immediately stands out is how this interaction has been covered in the media. The fact that it's even newsworthy shows just how much the public is drawn to these kinds of unexpected pairings. But what many people don't realize is that by giving this story attention, we're feeding into the very dynamic it's trying to create. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of buzz and speculation, and honestly, I find that both intriguing and a little unsettling. If you take a step back and think about it, this whole situation is a microcosm of the larger trends we're seeing in media and politics today. Public figures are increasingly crossing boundaries, and the lines between entertainment, news, and politics are becoming harder to define. This raises a deeper question. What does this mean for how we consume information and engage with public figures? Are we moving toward a world where everything is just one big spectacle, or is there still room for substance? In my opinion, what makes this story so compelling is that it's not just about Stefanovic and Hanson. It's about the bigger picture. It's about the way public figures navigate their careers, the strategies they use to stay relevant, and the role we play as an audience. Personally, I think it's a reminder to be critical and thoughtful about the stories we consume and the narratives we buy into. So, here's my closing thought. The next time you see a headline about an unexpected celebrity or political pairing, don't just take it at face value. Ask yourself what's really going on beneath the surface. What does this say about the people involved, the media landscape, and even our own fascination with these kinds of stories? It's a question worth pondering, and honestly, I can't wait to see where this particular story goes from here.